evening. Hope you're nice and toasty and warm and not out in the snow. Tonight is Monday, and we are at the 26th of January, 2026. Interesting day. You know, over the weekend, the markets were getting scared that what was happening within Minnesota and the killing of that poor person, and that the markets would tank today on the news. Well, it's not quite what happened. Most of the markets did well. There was a pronounced rotation, whereas the leader that has been taking place for a week and a half, 2 weeks, the Russell, backed off as the other stock indices took off. But that's what you have to worry about, all right? You know, the news over weekends can move markets on the opening, and it often does. But as the day goes on, the market goes back to what it normally trades on. The fundamentals, the action, other news as the day comes in. It's just the way that it is. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, it's what happens. When we take a look at other parts, Goldman today up sharply. Look at that, $13 rally. Gold and silver, parabolic rallies. There's no way to tell you where they'll top, but often a parabolic rally, like we're getting in the metals, leads to a top. I know you don't believe that, but it's what it often leads to. So be careful. That's all that I could say. And you will get breaks along the way, but eventually all things don't grow to the sky. That's how it works. NVIDIA today down $1.21, even though Jensen Huang is there in Asia trying to get the deals done for his H200 chips. Was on this morning, not a lot going on. Restoration Hardware took a beating today, down $9, as Home Depot is up. You know, a lot of people looking at, is Home Depot going to do business in shovels and heaters and other things that people need for this type of weather? And the answer is yes. Netflix down another 30 cents. Amazon down a little bit. What about the news for tomorrow? All right. We're going to get the Redbook retail sales. They typically come out at 7:55 in the morning. Case-Shiller 20 metro home area prices for November. They'll be released at 8 o'clock. The Richmond Fed, they'll update their monthly manufacturing sector index for January at 9 in the morning. We'll get the Conference Board's Consumer Confidence Index at 9 o'clock, and the API numbers will come out in the afternoon at 3:30, and of course, earning numbers. That's what you'll be hearing all the way through. One of the things that I wanted to do is move on with some other markets, and I told you I would, and getting some requests to cover Apple. I think Apple, on this break, unless you take out these lows, a bottom is being made right now. We've had that big break. The market has come down nicely from the 290 area into roughly the 245 zone, and it's finding its support. The pattern has turned friendly with higher lows, higher highs. Today did that. If I back off on the chart, let's see if it'll let me back off at all. Yeah, it will. You can see when I do this, you had the lower highs. You can look at them right here. Look at the peak, look at the peak, look at the peak. And then the market starts coming alive on Friday. And today, you get over prior highs. Where's the first resistance point? Well, it should be the 18-day average of closes. We're not quite there. That comes in at 259.19 all the way up to the 100-day average at 261.68. And the market had kept hitting the lower Bollinger Band, bouncing to the right of it, then to the left, and now that pattern has been broken. What about stochastics? You lost the bearish embedded reading. That often means before you take out the most recent low in the market, I'm pointing to that for you, I think you go back up to wherever that 18-day average comes in. The 18-day is the closest main moving average on this chart. I then looked at uranium, and look at this big drop that you had today, 3.63%. You're going to probably lose the embedded reading in the morning, opening the door up for price and the 18-day average to make a run at each other if that embedded reading is lost. It closed tonight at what, 79.98 is that? No, 79.86. So all it needs to do is close under 79, and I think those two numbers have said they'll do that before today's high is taken out. In Tesla, back and forth action. Now it's against the 100-day average in green. Let me point that right. And the red line, the 18, momentum had been going up, sort of drifting right now. Now we're going to get Tesla numbers coming out. We're getting a lot of the Mag 7 that are going to be reporting now. So you want to be ready for that. FedEx, this correction is starting to have run its course. I'm looking for support at this 18-day average. Momentum is down. Bias is fighting a battle to stay over the 18-day average. It didn't do it today. It was just under it by 53 cents. So the trend is down. The bias is down. You have to get back over 311.47 under the current pattern to make a statement that the market has bottomed out again. Until that occurs, that's not the case. Netflix. My belief is before you take out 81.93, price and the 18-day average are going to make a run at each other. We'll see if I'm right. I base that on the fact that the slow stochastic has been lost, and that's normally the case. In Google, we have higher lows, higher highs. I like this chart. You had an outside day up, so I don't think you should take out today's low before Tuesday or Wednesday. If you do, that would be a false sign, and the market probably goes back and has to regroup against the red line, the 18-day average of closes. Rivian still falling into the 100-day average, may go to the Bollinger Band, has an embedded reading. I will be personally looking to take a look that when it loses that reading, maybe it's time to jump into this for the summer move, because I do believe their $45,000 car is going to be very interesting. Joby still bearish, so you're still getting the lower highs, lower lows. You're very much caught in the sideways action of the Bollinger Bands. In XLF, you're getting an embedded reading. How many of these charts are pointing down? Quite a bit of them. That's something you have to pay attention to. We have a consistent pattern of lower highs and lower lows on the swing line. So as much as people talk how much they like the financial sector, which is of course made up in part Citibank, Wells Fargo, JP Morgan, all the big boys are in there, Goldman Sachs, it's certainly not yet acting like it has bottomed out. So the pressure remains on it, even with Goldman up nearly $13 today. XLI, well, you can see the market is refusing to take out this low, but it lost the bullish embedded reading. You're hearing me say that a number of times. I'm not going to be surprised if price and the 18-day average make a run at each other. In XLE, you have a bullish embedded reading. The energy sector has been friendly. We've had the weather to make that happen. We've got the Iranian situation right in front of us. We have the weather killing production in the Permian Basin. When it gets that cold there, they cut back oil production and natural gas production. So pay attention to that. It's very important. Coming from a commodity background, I understand why that takes place. The gold, this is called parabolic. The market's gone crazy since the beginning of the year, and it is just running to the upside. Walmart back down into support at the 18-day average, higher highs, higher lows. I don't like that momentum is still pointing down. I'd like it to be all together to have a better feel for what this market might do. I have been waiting in the woods to see, let me come back here. When Microsoft would come alive, and you and I'm sorry, I can't get that to work. It's working the top one. When that would happen, the market on Friday took out this high. You put in a trade bottom at that point, and today you went to the 18-day average and solidified that. From the 18-day average, new directions come, and we're waiting to see what that is, but this big break that really began from here, I'm going to predict is near term in the over period, and the question is, can this stock get rallying back up to this level? So I'm watching that very carefully. I don't see a trend in BND or TLT. Higher highs, lower lows. It just seems to be waffling back and forth in that pattern. The dollar getting beaten up. I think the U.S. dollar index is going a lot lower. And I think the euro is going a lot higher. So these are things you have to look at. I think the world's going to beat up the dollar index in the near term. There's many reasons for this, including our policies, including where our interest rates are. That doesn't mean our economy is doing poorly. It's just there's a move out of it. A lot of this has to do with the Japanese yen getting support, some intervention, but I'm watching interest rates around the world, and they're just more attractive than in the U.S. in some cases. Plus, under Trump's policies, there is a tendency to sell America, not invest, and that creates a problem. If we lose a lot of buyers for our debt instruments because we're heavily in debt, that could be a problem for us in a big way. You know, one of the things I love to do is teach, and one of the things that we teach with is our futures trading kit. Now, what this kit does, it includes the charting software you're seeing me with here, the different courses that I teach, and I'm talking the free versions, the Arun indicator, pivot points are in there, explanations of moving averages, slow stochastics, all the tools for those of you that not are a beginner necessarily in futures, but a beginner in investments. You want to learn what these tools are, what people are using. Years ago, I put together what's called a cause and effect sheet. It's as good today as the day I created it. Under Volcker, believe it or not. I had to learn for myself what was M1, M2, M3, how do they move, what do they do? Chart patterns, introduction to the futures markets, very important. Bitcoin, the basic facts behind everything, and all the CME courses. They're all here for you. So how do you go about learning all this and getting it? It's simple. Either call us or go to iraepstein.com under free offers. Move your cursor to the top here. That'll take you there. You can move it up here the same way. And I'll be seeing you in the other videos tonight and first thing in the morning. You have yourself a great evening. I'm Ira Epstein.